What is up, everybody? How about a business plan that actually works? Hey guys, Mike Ferrante here with the 21 Mike team. We are real estate agents serving greater Cleveland and basically all of Ohio. If you have a real estate need in Ohio, go to 21mike.com and go ahead and click that button at the top to schedule an appointment with me or someone on the team. And of course, you can reach us there or email me directly at mike@21mike.com. And like I said in the opener, we are going to talk about business planning today. So, how can I say it? Business planning doesn't sound sexy, right? But we know that you are exponentially more likely to be successful if you have a business plan. And secondly, if that business plan is in writing. So what we've done here is created a really, really simple business plan that you can follow. If you follow us for the next 4 more weeks, you will end up with a very, very simple business plan. Now, obviously, there are some great coaching platforms out there where you get really in depth on the different steps to business planning. What we're going to do is recap last week, where we talk about your why and a few other steps in the process. But today, we're going to crunch numbers. So if you want a copy of the spreadsheet that I'm going to give you, go ahead and email me. You can message us through our various social media platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and send us a message there. Facebook, make sure to follow us there on the 21 Mike team page so you don't miss future training. But of course, you can also email me directly, mike@21mike.com, and I'll send you a copy of the spreadsheet. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to share my screen. And if you're listening to the podcast, of course, you can't see my screen, but I'll narrate so you kind of get the gist. Basically, last week, we went through a very basic business plan that starts with your why. Figure out why you're doing this, and just making more money isn't powerful enough. Read this book by Simon Sinek, Start with Why, and really dig down. Some people say, well, I want to save for my kids' college, or I want to pay off debt. You don't do it exactly for that reason. It's about how it makes you feel, how it changes your life. So really dig deep on your whys. If you have a powerful why, it makes everything else that much more powerful with your business plan. So hopefully you did last week's homework, which was getting your numbers together, what your income was last year and what it is so far in 2025, and what your goals are going to be for 2026. And of course, what your numbers were as far as your average commissions and how many sales that took to do that. And so we're going to boil it down on the spreadsheet that I'm about to show you so that you can have an accurate plan. And guys, quick spoiler alert here, we're going to boil it down to literally what you have to do on a day by day and week by week basis. How many buyers does that equate to? How many sellers? How many renters? And again, the spreadsheet will break all this down for us. Figure out your sources of business as well. Coming up next week and the week after, we'll talk about the sources of business, where you can get business from. And of course, Sphere is still number one. The people you already know, that's number one, plus the referrals that they give you. Where did it come from? Where do you want it to come from in the coming year? So today it's all about the numbers, how many you need, and in the next couple of weeks we'll talk about where that will come from. So like I said, hopefully you guys did your homework because here is the sheet. Let's get right down to business. Everybody loves a good spreadsheet, right? So here we have it. Our little spreadsheet says, what is your income goal? It starts with a number. You can also approach this from a number of transactions standpoint, but basically they're interchangeable. You know, hey, I want to help 10 families, 20 families. I want to help 20 people buy or sell. But we know we can translate that into dollars. And it's just the easiest way to sort of make a business plan if we know the dollars. So our little spreadsheet starts with a dollar goal. Everything in green here, you will fill in yourself. Now, you then have to decide what percentage buyers and sellers you're going to have. Now, on my example spreadsheet, I have it 70-30 buyers to sellers. As you progress in your business over time, I know most agents say, well, I want more listings. Okay, it's a powerful way to control your time a bit more. Buyers, you have to be available when they're available. But newer agents or agents who are more typical, let's say, are more like 70-30, 60-40, 80-20. Sure, you get some sellers, but you tend to work more with buyers. So I put in a $60,000 income goal, 70/30 buyers to sellers. Here in Northeast Ohio, our prices are still incredibly low. So the average sale price, 250,000. Obviously, you'd adjust this for your market and the type of business that you do. And then I plugged in what that commission amount would be, and I used a round number of $6,000 per commission check to build out the rest of the numbers below. Now, most of these calculate automatically. So you know that if you need 7 buyers and 3 sellers, a total of 10 transactions to hit this income goal based on the commissions, you need more appointments than actual buyers. So for example, I say 3 to 1 for buyers. If you need to have 7 buyer transactions, you need to meet and have appointments with more than 7 buyers, right? Because not all of them transact. Some of them drop off. Some of them change their minds, move to Florida, and that becomes a referral. But so I use a ratio of 3 to 1. If you need 7 buyer transactions, that means you need 21 buyer appointments. Stands to reason, right? And that's that number right here. You can alter this if you convert at a very high rate or maybe a lower rate because you're dealing with a different type of buyer. You can change this. If you think it's more like 2 to 1 and you need 7 buyer transactions, maybe it's only 14 appointments that you need. And so this number can be changed very simply. Right there, see, I changed it to 14. But let's keep it at 3 to 1, 21 buyer appointments. Now, in addition, the sheet calculated that I need about 3 seller transactions. Now, not every listing sells, and you don't get every listing necessarily that you go on. Even if it's your sphere, occasionally you might not get a listing. They might change their minds or go with a family member or whatever. So I put percentages in this sheet to reflect those two facts that maybe not every listing sells and that maybe you don't get every single listing on which you go for an appointment. So I made these percentages 95 and 75 respectively, and roughly that calculates out to needing 4 listing appointments. Makes sense, right? For the average agent, if you need 3 sellers shooting to get 4 listing appointments, makes a lot of sense. So if you tally these together, you need 21 buyer appointments and 4 listing appointments, a total of 25 appointments for the year. Doesn't seem like a terrible goal, right? Now, what this really boils down to, and what we do for a living, is we talk about real estate. We have conversations about real estate. That could be by phone, in person, by text, by email, through social media, messenger, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to have conversations. And like I said, in the next couple of weeks, we'll get into how to generate business, how to really generate conversations about real estate. Do you have conversations at open houses? Do you have conversations at events that you hold? Our team's getting ready to have a will estate trust event where we're going to get people in a room and educate them about estate planning. Is a trust better than a will? Or are there different applications where one works and one might not necessarily? So, different ways to have conversations. It can be all these different methods, but the bottom line is that you need to have a certain number of conversations to set an appointment. You don't make one call and set an appointment, right? If you're cold calling, it might be more like 80 to 1. And that's this number right here where I have a 50. I'm saying that it might take, on average, between talking to your sphere and talking to people that you don't know, door knocking, open houses, whatever, 50 conversations to set one appointment. And remember, above we said we need 25 appointments. So what this sheet does, you tell it how many weeks you're going to work and how many uh, weeks you're going to take off. Obviously, I'm saying 50 weeks per year working. And it says, hey, in order to hit these numbers, you need to have 1,250 conversations. Seems daunting, but hey, let's break it into by week. And then, of course, you can extrapolate by month. But if you need to have 25 conversations per week, that's not so bad, right? That's roughly 5 per day. Now, this spreadsheet is set up to round, so it might say 24 conversations per week and 5 per day. But guys, what you need to think about, really what your business plan boils down to, is how many people do I need to talk to set enough appointments so that I can meet my goals for the year? And when you think about it that way and you track it daily with whatever system, I don't care if it's a pad of paper, CTE, which is what we're using right now, and we're going to switch to a more elaborate system for tracking that stuff going starting next year. But if you track and measure the number of conversations that you have every single day with a weekly goal in mind, suddenly this doesn't seem so daunting. If you have an open house, you might have 5 or 10 conversations just in an open house. If you put on an event, you might be talking to 10, 20, 30 people in a room. So it's not really that tough when you think about it that way. Now, if you're dialing or knocking on doors, that's one at a time. Quality conversations, and so your numbers might drop. You might say, well, Mike, you know what? I only need to have 40 conversations to hit that goal. Oh, that's 40 weeks. Let's change this number to 40. And suddenly that drops down to 4 conversations per day, 20 conversations per week. But again, this is going to vary by the types of conversations that you're trying to have. Are you talking to more people you know or that you don't know? Higher level of conversion, lower level of conversion. Hopefully this makes sense, guys. Again, if you have questions, feel free to hit me up anytime. Messenger, go to 21mike.com, click the button. Happy to talk real estate with you. If you're an agent and you're struggling with this or, not sure about what to do in your business, we are always looking for agents here in Ohio. And frankly, very soon we'll be looking to help agents nationwide and even in Canada. Kind of a teaser for a big announcement we have coming up. But anyway, that's what we do when we sit down with our agents. This is the very basic business plan that just helps you boil down an income goal down to a conversation goal. How many conversations per day, per week, per year do you have to hit your goals? Hopefully this was helpful. By all means, hit me up, Mike at 21mike.com, and stay tuned. In the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll be doing more business planning. You want to say, great, Mike, now I have to have 5 conversations per day. How do I generate those conversations? That's next week, sources of business. And then we'll get into marketing channels after that, how to use those sources of business to actually generate the conversations. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. Hit me up if you need me. 21 Mike Team, your one-stop shop for buying and selling.